Are you reinventing yourself? Keep your momentum. Try these 5 ways to keep going in reinventing yourself. How's it going, Reinventors? I'm Amelia. This is Reinventing You, and welcome back to the 2 in 2022 challenge. I especially want to thank those that have said and committed themselves to take this challenge. Folks like Harriet, Nana Be Sewing, Jody, Moriana, Older Than the Dirt, Susan, and Krista. I'm so glad that you are joining me, whether you have committed to the 2 in 22 challenge or this is your first time, welcome. I want you to live a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose, and I have this channel to encourage you so that you can do that through reinventing yourself. Now, I don't know about you, but this has been a really hard week to get through. I know a couple of folks have made a comment on my channel saying that this was not an easy week. And what I realized is, according to a study done last year in the UK, most people don't stick with their New Year's resolution beyond the first month. In fact, I'm thinking I heard somewhere else 3 weeks, but this is it. This is it toward the end of January. This is our last week of January. So a lot of us are having trouble whether we tried to keep New Year's resolutions or we said we're going to commit to reinventing ourselves in 2022. It is difficult, but I have these 5 ways, and I want you to see if you can use one or more of these in your own reinventing journey. If you've lost your momentum, please let me know in the comments. Also, if you wanted to join the 2 in 2022 challenge, it isn't too late. So in the comments below, type 2 in 2022. The first step that I recommend taking, is embracing beginning again. Now, Katie Milkman in the book, How to Change, I have this right here, calls this taking advantage of fresh starts to create new beginnings. And this means taking advantage of maybe some kind of milestone in your life, a particular date, beginning of a particular season or month or even week to get you going. There's something psychological that gets us going and creates fresh start when we do or try something new in this time. We can create fresh starts if we start on a Monday, if we start at the beginning of a month, if we have an anniversary or a birthday. The new year, that's why the New Year's big on New Year's resolutions. If we can take advantage of that, then we can really get going. Maybe you're saying, okay, I'm trying to reinvent myself, but I've had a really hard time, especially this past week. I need to get going again, begin again. Maybe you tried to reinvent yourself in this last year or 2 years, and you're really having a hard time starting. This is the time, this is your opportunity. You've been able to watch at least 4 of my videos giving you some challenges in this year. So we're coming up on a new month. We're coming up on a new week. So they sort of coincide. The 31st is on a Monday. The 1st of February is on a Tuesday. You can take that advantage of those times to start something new, to really get started with reinventing yourself, to take advantage of these times. Perhaps you have a birthday coming up soon. That is an awesome time to take advantage and say, as of my birthday, I am going to start the reinventing process. And that leads us to step number 2. In order to reinvent yourself, it's good to have a plan. In fact, not just good to have a plan, it's essential to have a plan. Now, my son was a Boy Scout. If you're familiar with Scouting, you know that there's a motto they have that's called be prepared. And if you're going to reinvent yourself, it's really important to be prepared. And you can do that by doing some planning. Now, if you check out my second video that I did, and you'll see the link below in the comments, not in the comments, you'll see the link below in the description. You can take this time to plan ahead, to do some brainstorming, to map out some steps and your parameters to reinvent yourself, to say, okay, these are my big steps, how can I break those down? And somebody said recently that they had tried to take too big of a steps Sometimes you have to take those steps and you think, okay, I've broken them down to smaller steps. When you really look at your steps, you think, well, I really could break those down to even smaller steps. So continue to break those down so you have little tiny bites. I don't know about you, but when I eat, sometimes I take too big of a bite. You know, it's like you take too big of a bite, you can't chew it, and you're like stuck. You like to spit it out. You know, it's in your mouth, you know, what do you do with it? So what you need to do is take the smaller bites, the smaller steps, break them down, have a plan. Say, I'm going to do once a day, which is the best thing, but it might be once a week. Whatever it is, you have to tackle it in those steps, and you have to have a plan to create those steps. So the second way to keep your momentum is make sure you have a plan, and the best way to do that is have steps and break them down as small as possible, and take those steps and, you know, put them on a calendar or a schedule of some kind. Now, you may be somebody who doesn't do well with a calendar. Maybe you're better off on reminders on your phone, or maybe you're better off having a checklist or a bullet list of some kind, or keeping a journal of some kind and say, these are the things I'm going to do tomorrow or the next week. Whatever it is, you've got to incorporate your plan, your steps into your schedule. The next step that I have for you to keep your momentum going in reinventing yourself is to take one step at a time. There's a Christmas song, it's from, I can't remember which movie it's from at Christmas time, but it's one of the holiday classics that, you know, put one foot in front of the other. Okay, I promised I wasn't going to sing, but I did it anyway. But just take one step at a time. If you're like me, you tend to take off too much at one time. What I have discovered in my process, I was sort of getting ahead of myself in creating a course, an online course about reinventing. And so what I had to do is I really had to say, okay, what really do I need to start with? And I felt like there was sort of some gaps in my knowledge, like what do you really have to do to have an online course? So what I did was I started saying, okay, every single day I'm going to watch a video about creating an online course, and I'm going to watch videos from trusted YouTube creators, people that I have trusted or others have trusted. They have a good reputation, they have a lot of followers, and that doesn't always mean the best people, but that's what I've been doing. I've been watching a video every day. I have learned so much. I'm starting to see some patterns in what makes a successful online course. This is a step for me, and it broke down some of the bigger steps that I've tried to do. And it's just one thing. It's the first step. It's gathering the information. And I really need this. And this has helped me create some more steps that I found that, and I did my flow chart, which I explained in my second video. Like I said, the link is below in the descriptions for that video. But I had some gaps in my actual flow chart, which is the huge spaces, and this is where that comes in. So take one step at a time. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the very first step. A journey to reinvent yourself begins with the first step, and one step at a time after it. So what is the first step that you need to be making right now in your reinventing process? In the comments below, let me know what the first step is and how you're going to incorporate one step at a time, baby steps, to get where you're going. The fourth step is to bundle your habits. Now, I've already recorded this part, but I realized my examples weren't really, I wasn't making much sense. So I'm re-recording this part, but what I'm saying is that if you take a habit you already have and you add a new habit that's going to make a step toward reinventing yourself, it's very helpful. Now, both Katie Milkman and James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, suggest doing this. The example that Milkman gives is if you already brush your teeth and you want to start flossing, then add the habit of flossing to your habit of brushing your teeth. In fact, it doesn't hurt anybody if you actually floss after you brush. What you're trying to do is establish that habit. I'm going to be talking in a future video about a recent book that Mel Robbins wrote, but it's basically high-fiving yourself in the mirror when you get up in the morning, and there is a reason for it. You're trying to support yourself and give yourself some more self-esteem. But what she says is usually you get up in the morning and you do your business and then you get to the sink and you look in the mirror. I mean, that's already a habit that you have. So why not do something productive like give yourself a high five and basically let yourself know that you are a good person and you believe in yourself. Adding that habit to a habit you already have can create a new one. The habit I have of making my bed first thing in the morning is something that I've learned how to do. Now that it's ingrained in me, I've added the habit of starting a load of clothes right after I've made my bed. What habits do you already have or possess in your life during the day that you could add a habit or a step toward reinventing yourself? Remember, it's something you want to take on, that you want to do on a regular basis. It's another step, and you want to do it so that you can reinvent yourself. Let me know in the comments. Okay, so my fifth thing or step to keep your momentum so that you can reinvent yourself is to track your progress, which sounds very boring and rather anal, and a lot of people are probably not going to do this. In fact, it's very kind of hard for me to do as well. But I'm not talking about setting up an Excel spreadsheet and checking off things, and that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, if that's your thing, if you like to do ratios and pie charts and all that kind of stuff, that's great. Go for it. But what I'm talking about is being able to look back and see what you've accomplished. One thing that my husband and I have been trying to do is to finish some projects around the house that kind of came at the end of our remodeling. Some things that we didn't have enough money to do, some little things that we just needed to do, like getting new kitchen towels, that kind of thing. And just creating new routines in our life in this new place. We had to create a master list. We wrote down everything that we could think of that we needed to do, the next steps to create this house and make it a real home and a place where we are happy and comfortable in. And we took that and broke it down and to say, well, when do we need to do these things? So we looked at all the things we need to do. We gave them months that we need to do them, and then we created this chart. So we have this printed out chart. I also have it on computer, but we both like being able to see it first thing in the morning. And we look at it and we write a P in red if we started working, that would P for pending. And then if we've completed it, we give it a check mark. Now that's not a pie chart, it's not, this great report we're doing. We're just keeping track of the progress that we've made in those things to complete the remodeling and the reinventing of our home. I want you to find ways that you can track your progress. And this is going to be important in an upcoming video to know what you've done, because we're going to want to celebrate what we've accomplished. So I want you to find ways to track your progress in reinventing. And even Katie Milkman in her book, How to Change, says tracking your progress can keep you focused, can keep your momentum, and that's what you need to do in order to reinvent yourself. Now, I hope one or more of these ways have been helpful for you. If you think it's going to be helpful for creating momentum and keeping track and keeping yourself moving forward toward reinventing yourself, you can let me know in the comments, but give me a thumbs up. I want to know if this is helpful for you. Don't forget, if you have not joined the 2 in 2022 challenge, you can still do that. There's still time. I am glad that you are participating in this challenge. I want you to reinvent yourself so that you can live a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose. I'm Amelia. This is Reinventing You. Have a great one. So this is Editing Amelia. I thought you'd appreciate looking out on the water at our lake house. It's really cold out there, by the way. But I just wanted to leave a little bit of, let me start over. You know how hard it is to have a video that lasts exactly 20 minutes? It's not easy. This week, only really 14 minutes. But I thought if you are wanting to be entertained and wanting to know more about bundling your habits, you could see my very first video of
or my first attempt at talking about point number 4 or step number 4, and that's bundling your habits, and where I just don't feel like I explained it very well. I'll let you be the judge. But, if you don't want to watch that part, then that's fine too. But just in case the little coot that's going along the shore is not entertaining enough, I thought you'd appreciate the little clip that I ended up throwing on the cutting room floor. Have a great one.
The fourth way to keep your momentum in reinventing yourself is to bundle your habits. Now, both Katie Milkman in the book that I mentioned and also James Clear in the book Atomic Habits, which I've also read, say to bundle your habits. In other words, pair one habit with another. Here's an example. Hopefully you brush your teeth every day, if not twice a day. Do you floss? They say flossing after brushing is really helpful. I'll start over with that. So the example I have is brushing your teeth. Hopefully you do that at least once a day, if not twice a day. Now the question is, do you floss? A lot of people don't floss, and I've had a hard time with flossing because it just seems like it takes a long time to do. And my teeth are really tight. I have a really hard time getting that floss in between my teeth. I moved flossing around. It seemed to be taking a lot of time at night. I started doing it during the day. I'm now back to doing at night. There's a whole other reason for that. But anyway, I also read recently sometimes it's best to not try to have it, I'm trying to explain how this is, how the habit is bundled. Okay, you have a habit of brushing your teeth. You want to add flossing. Well, you think, and a lot of us have learned this, you floss before brushing. And actually, when I realize it, when I go to the dentist, they brush my teeth first and they floss last. I don't know why that is. But if they can do that, why can't I? If you're trying to floss, why not do your first habit, your habit you've gotten into, your brushing your teeth, and then floss afterwards? I guess that's a crazy example, but it's kind of, it's true. You have a habit of brushing, add the habit of flossing. You'll discover that it will help you, to start flossing. One of the things that I did, I had to add a habit in the morning was making my bed. Well, I'd already done that. I started making my bed in the morning, and then I added to that, do a load of clothes. In fact, I just realized I didn't do a load of laundry this morning, but it was too cold. I learned to establish a new habit by bundling with the old habit. The habit of making my bed, I couple it with running a load of clothes. I couple the habit of making my bed with things like cleaning my diffuser. All of those things, you can take one habit that you have already and add to it. Maybe you have a habit of getting up in the morning and making a cup of coffee. While your coffee maker is doing, maybe you can do something that will get you toward your goal of reinventing yourself. I don't know what that could be, but whatever it is, maybe it's making a drawing, maybe it's having a list, maybe it's watching a video. Whatever it is, you can do that while your coffee is making. Bundle one habit with another. Now I realize here that that sounded so simple. When I wrote it down, it made more sense than when I'm speaking about it. So I hope that's helpful for you. But if you have any questions about bundling your habits, let me know in the comments. And if you read either James Clear's book or checked out Katie Milkman's book, let me know as well. And if that is helpful for you about bundling your habits. I don't know why I asked that question. I don't know why I did that. Anyway.